Alrighty, I hope everybody got caught up on all their emails and back at it. I'd like to welcome to the stage from the Oklahoma Real Estate Commission, Matt Holder, from the Oklahoma Association of Realtors, Will Roberts, and from Stride Bank, Lee Dean. This is going to be a panel discussion moderated by Jennifer Jones and Sarah Moore.
All right, welcome back. We are so glad that you're here. As people kind of trickle in, hopefully they can just hop in on the discussion. And our hope for this little portion of the program is just to have a really interactive discussion with these great guys to kind of provide some insight from their perspective, but also from you. So if you have a question, anything, just holler and raise your hand, and we'll try to see you from these lights. So again, good afternoon. We have just a really exciting team of all-stars here. Yeah, you get it? Okay. Thank you. To share with their industry insights from the Dugout. So everyone is here. They were asked to participate because they're well respected in their various organizations, the industry as a whole, and just have really great wide range of knowledge and experience. So let's play ball. First, we have Matt Holder here. Matt serves as Education Director for the Oklahoma Real Estate Commission, and with over a decade of experience as a licensed real estate professional, he brings a grounded, real-world perspective to his regulatory work. In this role, Matt oversees real estate schools, instructors, and course offerings across the state, with a focus on elevating the standard of education and ensuring it remains relevant, accessible, and impactful for licensees. And I gotta say, I've worked closely with Matt on a couple projects, and he's just wonderful. He's just great. So if you are needing any sort of education out in your offices or anything, holler at Matt, because he's at least got some good recommendations. If not, be able to speak himself. Next, we have Will Roberts. Will is the Senior Director of Government Affairs for Oklahoma Realtors, where he has served as a lobbyist for 4 years and worked closely with OLTA on many pieces of legislation, particularly this year as well. Prior to joining the Realtors, he served as a staffer for Congressman Tom Cole, as an intern for Senator Jim Inhofe, and as a classroom teacher. A native and resident of Edmond, he graduated from Oklahoma State University in 2012. All right, and last but not least, we have Lee Dean. Lee is the president of Stride Mortgage with 27 years of experience in the mortgage industry. For the past 17 years, he has led a division that has successfully closed over $20 billion, with a B, in residential mortgages. Outside of work, Lee enjoys traveling with his wife, spending time with his 5 kids and 1 grandchild, and hitting the golf course. Let's hear it for our panelists real quick, yeah? Here we go. All right. We should have, in hindsight, we should have let them pick their walkout music or something, but we won't embarrass them like that. Also, by way of introduction, I think you guys know us, but just again, if you don't, I am Sarah Moore. I'm currently with Mason Harrison Ratliff Enterprises, formerly First American. So it's a recent change. So your program still says First American. I come from title insurance as my background, but real estate, I love it. I live it. I breathe it. It's what I do. So I enjoy it, and hopefully we can have a great discussion kind of from all those perspectives. And Jennifer, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Well, I asked Wade to leave Sarah as First American in hopes that would make her come back and that it was be subliminal messaging, but it has not worked. But I am Jennifer Jones. I am with First American in Oklahoma City with the direct division. And to kick us off, I will ask the first question of the panelist. And you can go in whatever order you want to go in, or we can draw straws, or you can arm wrestle, or however we want to go. Yes.
I'll stop with the questions.
All right. Can each of you speak to a few of the major hot topics you have been watching during this legislative session? And are there any priorities we can start collaborating on now for the next session?
Yeah, I can start with the legislative part. We had a couple of really big bills this year that we were working on. We obviously, you guys have bill tracker, we have a bill tracker. We monitor, dozens of pieces of legislation every year, but this year we only had really 2 kind of hotspot pieces that we were working on. One came out of there was the Burnett case that was this federal lawsuit that affected how realtors can contract with people through agreements. So we had a piece of legislation, currently have a piece of legislation that just says if you're going to contract with a realtor, then you need to have a written agreement of some kind that just says what your terms are going to be. I think that is an industry change to some degree in Oklahoma. It's something that we have not historically done across all brokerages and all realtors. Oftentimes you would just see like a handshake agreement. So there's been sort of an interesting response to that. I think the Real Estate Commission has had varied opinions on that in their membership and their leadership, that is. And so, we're just trying to determine what's the best way for us to be open and honest with the folks that our members are serving. And we basically feel that, writing your agreement down is the best way for everyone to understand what they're agreeing to begin with. And so that was our priority, our real priority piece of legislation, Senate Bill 877 with Senator Bullard and Representative Maynard. So we have that. We also had a bill that I know that you guys engaged on. I spoke with Clay and Clayton about it and with your leadership about it as well earlier this year, and that was House Bill 2800. House Bill 2800 was about homeowners associations, and we were trying to create some transparency there, and obviously you guys are tasked with gathering some of those documents that homeowners associations create. Did not realize the quagmire that we were walking into and how many people had interests in homeowners associations. So we, for now, are kind of pumping the brakes on that one because, you step in it enough with enough groups and all of a sudden you realize maybe this is, something that we need to look into further. So yeah, those are a couple of our priority bills. Obviously there were other ones out there, but that's what we've been working on.
So thank you for that nice introduction. And I will say to Sarah, she and I worked on drafting a textbook for real estate licensees to understand the real estate license code and rules. And so that's the project her and I worked very closely on, and obviously contracts and forms. So she is fantastic as well. So thank you. Yeah. So Senate Bill 1062, this is the right to compensate bill. And so this is really codifying the right for a real estate owner, so a property owner or a broker, to provide cooperative compensation. And this limits the federal government from preventing cooperative compensation throughout a transaction. The reason that this is important is because for buyers in the marketplace, obviously affordability is a very hot issue for everybody. I think maybe the price of eggs has gone down, but the price of homes sure hasn't. So with that cooperative compensation, instead of having the buyer be on the hook for that buyer compensation or the buyer broker compensation, this bill protects the right for a homeowner to offer compensation to a buyer's broker. So imagine a scenario where a buyer is, saving their every dollar that they can for their down payment, their prepaid expenses to get into a home, and then now they are required to then pay their buyer's broker, and how many people that takes out of the marketplace, or how many people that shifts down their affordability. So it impacts every single buyer, no matter what income range that you're in. So we're very happy about that, and that just passed, and I think the governor approved it. Is that correct?
The governor did sign that bill.
Yeah, so another cool thing, Oklahoma is not necessarily the first to do things, but we were the first state to pass this law. So this is really cool to be the first state in the country to have that. So, and again, that is making homeownership more affordable or keeping it affordable for buyers. The next thing that you all will be very happy with, I do believe, because I've heard from some of you, on wholesaling. Does anyone have any issues with wholesaling? Do you all run into any issues with that? So this is very exciting. I think in 2023 is when the first wholesaling bill was introduced. Is that correct?
That's right.
There was one in 2017 too.
Okay.
Yeah, the making it licensable.
Yeah, and then they got around that, via power of attorney. So one thing about real estate agents or people that think they're real estate agents, real estate licensees, is they're very creative. So they went ahead and got around that in that change in 2017. But this bill aims to really close every loophole and also provides for penalties in defrauding and really stealing equity from unsuspecting homeowners.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick,
Please.
Matt. One thing that I've seen that some companies have done in these kinds of situations is they have certain procedures and paperwork if that were to happen. So they want to make sure that all parties are aware that this is happening. So they want both the the seller and then this kind of middleman and then also the ultimate buyer to all be aware of what's going on, what money's changing hand, where that money is going, and even lenders. Yeah, good point, Jennifer. So I think those are maybe some best practices that you can start looking into as well, because it's I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, whether or not it's licensable. I mean, definitely it should be, it is, but something just you might want to think about.
Yeah, and so with that, I'll tell you a quick story. And looking at the Real Estate Commission, I'm going to introduce Patrick. He doesn't know I'm going to do this, but Patrick, stand up real quick. This is Patrick Schrank. He's one of our investigators. Yay,
Patrick is really great.
All three of our investigators at the Real Estate Commission were licensees prior to taking their role at the commission, so they understand the process of a transaction from start to finish, and they've seen a lot. So we get a lot of complaints. How many are we at today? 160
Oh, wow.
for the year when we have 3 investigators. So I think there's like 4 million citizens in Oklahoma, 23,000 licensees, and there's 3 investigators for real estate. So we get a lot of complaints. Some of them are really fun to read because they have absolutely nothing to do with the Real Estate Commission, but they are full of drama, so that's nice. But with the wholesaling bill, so this introduces wholesale transaction regulations for all licensed and unlicensed individuals, and it applies to individuals and entities performing double closings and using the power of attorney method, and that's how they were getting around the 2017 bill, is they were using a power of attorney, and then they were able to act on behalf of the owner. And is this being recorded?
I don't know.
Screw them. So if it is, so sorry. So it requires all wholesalers to disclose in writing before the execution of any agreement their intent to actually assign the contract for more than what that wholesaler is paying the consumer or the property owner. So I didn't tell you the story I told you I was going to tell you. In these complaints and investigations, there is a wholesaler that likes to sell courses, and he'll fill a room much like this, get 300 people in the room, and teach them how to go and screw the public out of their equity. And he actually posted a video on YouTube, which is always nice. It's always nice when they put their face on camera and say how they're doing it. And he said, I went to this property, and he was door knocking in a neighborhood, and talked to this property owner. He said, I was closing him, took 7 times, and finally I got him to say yes. And here's how he got him to say yes. He said, here's the deal. You have somebody coming in on Friday. This was on a Wednesday. You have somebody coming in on Friday that might give you a higher offer than what I'm going to give you. So why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and sign this agreement right now, just so you have a backup plan? Okay. The owner says, sure, I'll do it. Then he goes and clouds the title. So what do you do then? And he was so elated about this and proud of himself, but you're just going, look what you've done to the public, to somebody that had no idea. So a part of these disclosures that licensed and unlicensed people are going to have to give is making it very clear that they need to seek legal advice. It also gives them 2 business days to cancel the contract. And without penalty. And so that's really great. I believe it was started at 7 days, but they amended it to be 2 days. And it prohibits wholesalers from holding themselves out as a consultant or advisor, acting on behalf of the owner. And it prohibits wholesalers from holding themselves out to be licensed. And it also prohibits them from placing any lien or encumbrance on or otherwise clouding the title to the property. And it requires the wholesalers to include their contact information on every agreement and the total consideration given by the wholesaler to the homeowner. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything on that. I was. And then it also must include a form notice, a form that we're developing at the Real Estate Commission for cancellation as part of the purchase agreement. So the homeowner will have a document right there ready for them, and it is required to be included in the purchase agreement so they can easily cancel. And this also provides the Real Estate Commission with the authority to make rules when they do get even more creative, because like we know that they are a very creative group. And then failure to provide any of these mandatory disclosures or notices renders the agreement null and void, and the homeowner would get to keep the earnest money. And then last thing on that, the earnest money would have to be in an Oklahoma federally insured institution. So we're very, very happy with this bill. We think it's really going to do a lot to protect the public. The public does not know, and you think about people that have inherited a property. This can be, they may not have a mortgage on the property, but they've inherited it, and this is literally $20,000, $15,000 that these wholesalers are getting to assign the contract. That really does make a difference when you're considering the elderly population who, they're trying to move to their final home, and they need every dollar that they can get. And so we're very, very happy about this.
Yeah, good. And I mean, how many of you have had someone in your office that maybe you're seeing that this is maybe happening, but there's not as much happening? Yeah, Vanessa. Go, shoot.
Like, if they're not licensees, how do we report this? What can the public do to remedy that?
So after this gets signed into law, I believe then that the change will be effective November 1st. I would say still let us know. Patrick, would you say yes? Yeah. It's very easy to file a complaint with the Real Estate Commission, so I always try to double check that I'm telling it right. But go ahead and let us know that there's what issues that you're seeing, because if it's not on our radar, then we don't know what to be looking for. And any information that we can get is helpful, and just to kind of know and keep an eye out for who's still in the marketplace doing that. So thank you for your question.
And personally, I would encourage them to seek legal advice. I mean, there could be a whole host of theories that maybe other remedies that someone could assist with, but unfortunately, attorneys' time costs money. So that's tricky, and that's unfortunate when that happens. But hopefully these kinds of things will cut that scheme off a little bit more. So anyway, I don't know, Lee, do you have anything for this question, or do you want us to keep rolling?
No, just following up with these guys a little bit on what they're saying, supporting what these guys are doing from the lender and bank perspective is education, coming back, educating and supporting what they're doing too, because of, everybody knows interest rates are going up, the cost of insurance going up. So anything you can do to control the cost, because the problem that we're seeing is we have a lot of people that want to buy houses, but they don't fit in the box, right? So anything that we can do and clarify who is doing what and who owns what. And I'll tell you, we do quite a bit of business in Oklahoma, and the title is becoming tougher and tougher. I mean, every time, and we're seeing some crazy things, especially in the smaller, getting rural areas in Oklahoma, and it's getting a little crazy. But supporting what they're doing here, wanting, and it always comes back to communication, education, and then making, having the laws and stricter to where there's more punishment. These things have been going on for a long time, and the issues are we have 3, investigators doing it and digging into it, and that's all the way across in anything you're doing, appraisals, title, all of it. So it comes back to communication and education to the public from what we're seeing.
Yeah, yeah. Each of you have kind of touched on affordability and just in general, home affordability across the country is just, it's really tough. I mean, there's lack of supply, or the supply that's there maybe isn't in great shape. And so it's a really tricky spot to be in. As someone who wants to move right now, I'm really, my cozy, really low interest rate from 2021.
Well, I can get you a heck of a interest rate today.
Hey,
I'll do you a deal. Somewhere in the 6s.
We'll talk, Lee. Hey, all right, we'll talk, Lee. We'll talk.
Yeah, you're at
That's
3
good.
and we'll
Good
take
to
it
know.
to 6.
Good to know. So anyway, but it's something to be mindful of. People are watching their dollars, as each of you know, that people are getting their settlement statements and going, whoa, it's these little fees. But of course, the double side or the other side of that is, of course, we need to be sure we're fairly compensated for the risk and the services that we're providing. And so ensuring that people are getting great service and you can point to where their money is going is super crucial here. So let's move on to the next question because I'm not sure. What time are we supposed to end? How long? Where are we at? 3:15. Okay, great. Yeah, we have plenty of time. We have 3 more good questions and want to keep chatting, but yeah. So just want to make sure I'm on track. Okay, another question is, we've also, again, all talked about this, but terms like title theft, deed fraud, title pirates, et cetera, have been common terms in this legislative session. How do you think that we can work together as industry partners to kind of prevent these fraudulent transactions from happening? I mean, fraud seems to, I've mentioned it earlier, it's not one thing, it's many things. There's so many different, I guess, yeah, creative fraudsters that are out there. So what are some hot tips or any things you can share from your perspective? And we can just go down the line, or we can come back, whatever.
So one thing, I mean, as the education director, I'm a little bit, I get excited about any education offering that you all create. But real estate agents, most of them have ADHD, and I do too. So you have to really teach them the same thing at least 5 to 7 times before they hear it.
The impression rule of 3, you have to impress someone 3 times in advertising for
Yeah.
it to stick. So
Yeah.
maybe
So
real estate agents a little bit more.
real estate agents, it's double a little.
Hey.
So
Me too.
yeah. And there's just so much information and so many things that are important, and that it's a constant flow of trying to get your attention over here, over here, over here. So I would say the thing that you can do is make sure that you do have classes with your companies that you're registering with the Real Estate Commission. If you don't have a school registered with us and you just want to offer a class, OAR has a school. I'm sure that they would be very happy to get another course approved. And so you don't have to go through the whole process of actually setting up a school, but you can set up a course, you can become an instructor, and get out there and get in the rooms with these people that are meeting the consumers where they're at. And they also have the audience, on social media, and encourage them in any classes that you're doing that put out a public service announcement, because, if it helps one person, then it's doing its job, and if it sparks a conversation around the dinner table, when somebody is in the course of a transaction, then that might save them. So I would say any education offerings that you can get approved for CE, and even if it's not approved for CE, just educating them and getting that information to them is the best.
Yeah, and maybe a good option would be to, we talked about AI use earlier, use AI to kind of retool some materials that you've prepared or something, put it into a PowerPoint presentation, have someone who's personable give it, and then, maybe you can get it double approved for both CE for TI, but also CE for real estate. Heck, offer it to your attorneys in your town too. So this is a really good, again, we talked about AI and using marketing for marketing uses. This could be a great opportunity for that. So something to think about there. So moving on, sorry. I'm talking more than I meant to. Shocker.
I just wanted to echo what he was saying. I think it's just about education and enforcement. When you're talking about fraud and you're talking about the penalties associated with fraud, I mean, eventually there's going to be a criminal component to that, right? So, beyond what the Real Estate Commission does, there's also going to be some judicial penalties as well. And I think what's so funny is when we were looking into this issue a few years ago at the outset, there are some of these folks, these title pirates or what have you, are just so brazen with what they do. I remember seeing one that was like they put a lien on like Yankee Stadium, I think, or whatever. Just Graceland. Yeah, just really. I'm not sure that person was all there, but I just think that the stuff that's out there right now, it really is, to his point, is just education and enforcement. We know what's right and how to combat it. It's just a matter of getting it done at this point.
Yeah, same thing. It comes back to education, but I've been doing this on the mortgage side for almost 30 years, 27 years. And so we don't live in the same world, right? I never would have thought 27 years ago that we were seeing the things that we're seeing now, stealing homes and having to go this far, but you have to. And it comes back to education with your relationships, with your, customers, consumers, all of it. It's education, and it comes back to that in communication. Every time, and then deeper penalties. That is where you're going to get the bite. And supporting, what these guys are doing, and you guys as a whole that's what's going to change it. But I'm telling you, it's crazy the stuff that we're seeing. I can't even. You think technology and AI and all the things that we do now, but they're getting more creative, right? They're beating us to the punch. And unfortunately for us, when we funded, we're on it as well. So there's a lot of things we want to make sure, and it's communication, working together. In the past, what I think our industry has not done very well, and we've gotten better, is working together. We all were like, it was like we were, not communicating or not doing those things. I think we're doing a much better job, and I think that's what's going to help us with the stiffer laws and different things that we're doing, so.
Yeah, if Monica were here, she would say, we all live in the same sandbox. We got to play here together. We got to play together and work together, and because there's room enough for everybody. So.
One more thing, they mentioned penalties. I believe in that bill it says 5 years maximum, 5 to 10 years of a maximum jail sentence, and then $5,000 or $10,000 maximum penalty. Is that right?
Yeah, I think actual criminal penalties.
Felonies. So.
Yeah, that's what's gonna. That, and it should be more, right?
Yeah, it's a good start.
Yeah, it's a great start.
Well, and I do think the word is getting out there, because we've had some contracts get turned in and the realtor's like, this just doesn't seem right or feel right. And it's like, start digging in, start asking the questions. And most of the time, the people will disappear. I mean, once you really start questioning, what's going on, especially they're not coming to closing. Why aren't you coming? Why are you using a power of attorney? And we've had 2 or 3 that it's like the sellers have just disappeared and never to be heard from again.
We encourage our people, that right there, people know, like something some of the times when something's off. Now, hey, sometimes you're wrong, but that's nothing wrong with asking questions or digging in a little bit more, communicating back and forth. But your intuition is, some of the times or most of the times right, but that is a huge thing that I think we've done a better job of. If it doesn't feel right, if the realtor says something doesn't feel right, we don't, working with call title, let's see where we're at, communication, getting back to it, because after it's done, it's too late, right? Mm-hmm. You've got to hit it off and do those things. So I think that is a big thing that we've tried to teach within, from anywhere from processing to underwriting to funding, anything. If something's off, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I think prior to the last few years, I guess when we had like a really hot market, right, and everybody was kind of churning and turning things over as quickly as possible, I think that's where you're seeing probably more mistakes, right, and people just trying to get things out the door as fast as they possibly could, and that's where you get, this kind of reaction to, you realize that all of this stuff is happening because there's just so much flow in the market, so.
Yeah, and with that, these agents are experiencing it is historic decline in income as well. So when they have a buyer or a seller come to them and they're thinking, okay, 30, 45 days, I'm going to be able to put food on my table, they are a little less inquisitive on the qualification standpoint. And so I think when the market gets tighter, that's when you also see a lot more creativity, shall we say.
Yeah.
We send out that property notification letter, and we have had several people who've called in wanting to know why they received it, because they were going to sell the property. And then when you explain it, they're like, oh, thank you for checking, but it's me and I do intend on selling the property. And so sometimes people are not so happy, but most of the time when you explain the reasoning, they're all very happy that you're being a little bit more cautious. All right, question number 4. Over the last several years, what role has technology played in streamlining or not processes for your licensees, customers, or clients as applicable? How has it changed the landscape of a transaction?
Go ahead.
I'm going to go first. I'll be short. It is obviously, it has probably sped up the transaction, but I don't know that that's always better, right? And so with technology comes more opportunities for things for people to get in and different, not knowing it all. But it has probably sped up the process more from the lender perspective as technology works. The more remoteness to be able to do things remote, which is good in a lot of cases, but bad in some of the stuff that, it kind of makes me being here is making me rethink some things, right? Putting additional things. And I think that's that communication that we get into, because once I hit that button, I can't get it back, right? And so, but I would say for us, it's the speed and the, what COVID was, good, bad. It was obviously not good, but it taught us a lot of different things, and it made remote more easier and made it where it was, where you could do those things. I grew up in Western Oklahoma. I'm still boots on the ground, looking somebody in the face and doing a transaction. That's not the world we live in all the time now. But I would say for speediness and remote is what it's done from our perspective.
And I think that's what I would have said in terms of the good. And I wouldn't say that this is necessarily all bad, but I mean, you've got tech companies that are now kind of moving into the space and operating as brokerages even. And so I think that that's a change that, while, it might not be wholly negative for the consumer, it's just it is something that I think has everybody kind of draw their collective breath, when you have these sort of folks that have a lot of cash and the ability to use technology in ways that, quite frankly, a lot of realtors are not prepared to meet. That just adds a new wrinkle to the entire housing market that I could go on. I was thinking about talking about the Zillow touring agreement, this entire thing, but I don't want to go too deep into that. But that's a portion of it as well. The way that our market has changed. When you're asking these tech companies, or seeing these tech companies move into the space, I think it changes the paradigm just a little bit.
Fly-by-night folks that are maybe not regulated, because escrow, as we all know, is not regulated, which that's a whole good funds possible escrow regulation discussion for another time in strategic planning possibly. But yeah, it's interesting because it can be scary, because there's all these people that you don't know, you don't trust. They're not down the street. They're not officing next door to the courthouse that are wanting to, change hands, change hands, possibly millions of dollars. So.
Yeah, so the Real Estate Commission, government is known to move slow, but the Real Estate Commission, I would say, does a really good job at countering that. In 2020, this was before I was there, but they implemented a new licensing system. So all of our licensing can be done online, which has really increased the service that we're able to provide. The system that it operated on prior to that was archaic, doesn't even begin to describe this system. There was absolutely no organization to it. It was horrible. And everything within the real estate commission came from that. So in 2020, they implemented that new system, so licensees are able to manage their license, transfer brokerages, register their payment of commissions entities, all different kinds of things. Their CE records, renew their license, all online. Another thing, if you don't have the Oklahoma Real Estate Commission mobile app, this would be a good resource for you as well. It's in the Google Play Store and Apple Store. If you just search Oklahoma Real Estate Commission, I'd love to see the number grow. We have like 3,000 downloads, maybe 3,500 downloads now. So it's our license code and rules book, and then also a bunch of resources that we have on there, as well as a public registry, so you can go on and search any real estate company or licensee and see what their license status is as well. So that's on the licensing side. With education, I've had the fun job of taking all of the files from that archaic system I spoke about. Her name was Amanda, by the way, just so you know. So Amanda was an unorganized lady, and so we've just finished an audit of our whole education department. We had like 3,000 courses approved with the Real Estate Commission. Now we're down to 1,200, because who needs 3,000 courses about real estate, right? So we've got 1,200 courses ranging from all different kinds of topics, and so we're very excited about that. Now you can go onto the Commission's website and search courses and filter by not only category that the real estate agent needs to actually renew their license, but also the topic area that that course relates to. So, you know, we have they're required to take elective hours. So when you go on there, you would only just see it says elective. But if you're searching through at the time 3,000 records, it's really hard to find something that might interest you or might be the topic that you need to hear about that day. So we're excited about that. And then I would say on maybe the issues that it presents, the technology, you know, there's a price to convenience, and it makes it easy, maybe a little bit too tempting for people to change disclosures, for example, or the commissioners just revoked a license for one of our licensees for changing the e-signature certification form. So we got a complaint. He was signing the documents on behalf of the client, and then when the investigators, this was actually Patrick that did this, he was able to put it through some fancy software and figure out that this person had overlaid a different email address, the client's email address and their name, on the certification form that you get from these e-signing platforms. And so when they asked, hey, submit verification that your client actually did sign this, he submitted it all right, but he made some edits to it prior, which is not a good thing. And so he will not be practicing real estate for, 5 years? 3 years, and be paying a fine for that. So, you know, those, like I said, there's a price to the convenience part of it. It's easy to go in and change those disclosures, or, you know, if you feel like you're kind of in the hot seat making changes that you shouldn't be making, the investigators will find it. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, and they don't take too kindly to that kind of action, and the commissioners really don't. So if, you know, maybe if you are teaching CE, you know, the investigators take, and all of us at the commission take a really common sense approach to all of the investigations and then anything that we do with the public. But don't lie, because that just makes the commissioners like not very happy. Yeah. So
That's never a great situation.
yeah,
I have to tell
just say you messed up.
Right. Yep. I tell my 4-year-old the same thing, and the advice holds true to all of you guys. Just
We actually don't have real estate jail. You know, you don't go to jail from the real estate commission. You just, you know, maybe not be able to practice, and you might get a little bit of a fine. But
oh, that'd be pretty funny. I guess I don't know. I'm trying to. Yeah.
I try to pitch them on
Yeah, you'd probably get
like
creative with something funny there.
Court TV real estate edition, you know, but that hasn't latched on yet.
Man, that'd be good. Kind of as a follow-up question, just in your general sense, and this can go to any of you, all of you, whatever, even people in the audience. With the growth of technology, it seems as though everyone, consumers, I mean, I have less patience for things to take the time that they need to take for the reviews that need to happen. You know, it's very much that instant gratification that I am so used to personally, that I feel like I have noticed in customers as well, but I'm also not at the closing table. So opening this up just kind of for anyone to speak on, I mean, is this something that you guys are feeling also, is kind of that need for immediacy, and that that could be detrimental maybe?
Well, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about the technology question a lot earlier, and I was thinking about AI. And I think, this is sort of a broad, it's not necessarily industry specific portion of AI, but I mean, it's kind of be careful what you wish for, because if things get to a point where artificial intelligence is doing too much for all of us, right, then what is that going to do to the industries that we're involved in? So I think ease of use is great, but I mean, I don't think it's not a replacement for expertise that y'all have. It's not a replacement for, and I think this is one of the most important things is, human connection, right, and the trust that you have in another human being, as opposed to just maybe the verification of some software that you're not even sure where it came from. So I think, again, the technology is going to move forward the way that it does, and it's obviously makes our lives easier in some ways. But I think there's also, like I said, there's the need for y'all, there's the need for our people out there working together, and I just hesitate to say that technology will be the savior of all of us.
Yeah, same thing. Long time ago, we could close loans in really fast. I mean, with anything. It slowed down some, but there's still speed-wise. Everybody wants to close sooner. I mean, everybody in the transaction, not all the time, but technology has sped that up. But there's some, federally and state-wise and things that we can't do within certain times, and I like that. I think disclosing some of the things, first. We're dealing with, when you go to, I mean, a lot of you obviously do a title work and do all the things you're doing. There's a lot of documents, right? So you're going through them. So there's a lot of stuff to read through and do. But so there is time that needs to be put into it. And so it's hurry up and wait a little bit. It's a tour, because you want to do more, but you want to make sure you do it right. And so technology has sped it up and gets you to that ability, but sometimes it's like pump the brakes, let's see where we're at. Something doesn't make sense. It came back with something on the title or whatever, praise, anything or everything. But it seems to be people wanting to close faster from where we're hearing it, because we're getting it at the end. But sometimes from our end, we're not ready to fund, because once we fund, unfortunately, I signed, it comes back to us and me. And so those are things that we're really careful on, but I would say it's sped it up, but it's almost a hurry up and wait type deal. Sometimes we're just waiting and making sure everything, pans out and it's gone too fast sometimes.
Right. And something else too is, everyone may be ready, like, oh, okay, money's there, it's going to be a relatively easy deal, but you've got to go through a particular system. It takes time to fill out the proper form. And that's sometimes a hindrance in that way, right? Because you got to make sure those T's are crossed and I's are dotted, which good in most respects, but some situations it's like, come on, let's just get this deal done, right? Let's just get the show on the road, right?
I would also add to what they were saying. I think Will mentioned something about the replacement of not only your role, but then the role that our licensees play. I used to say it would be hard for artificial intelligence to help a buyer and a seller, let's say a seller who's getting divorced, right? Anyone dealt with a contentious divorce in the room? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, not so fun at the closing table.
I'm envisioning that picture that circulated around of like the people dividing up the Beanie Babies. Anyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I used to think, there's no way AI would ever be able to actually consult a transaction, parties to a transaction in dealing with this. But if you've never used ChatGPT as a therapist, go on there and say, here's my issue, tell me a good way to work it out that's beneficial to both parties, and you'll be very shocked at the answer that you get, because it's not bad.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm using ChatGPT as my personal therapist, but
it gets you to think, like we talked about earlier. It's a brainstorming
exactly
mechanism, right?
Yes, just ideas. But then you take that one step further, and then you have these AI companies that will do human. They'll have what looks like to be humans presenting the information to you,
Voices.
and with human-like voices, and you would never know the difference. So for people to think, oh, this is 10 years out, we don't need to worry about it today. It is something to worry about today, because not too far in the future, we can imagine something like a Zillow having a virtual real estate agent explaining the contract to the buyer. We can have Zillow say, oh, what's the issue right now in this transaction, and then have this AI explain a solution. And then on the title side, the same thing. So it's not so far in the future. Maybe if we were having this conversation in 2015, we could say that and maybe rest a little bit. But the billions and billions and billions of dollars that are spent every year trying to get to the amount of commissions that are made in this country is astounding. And that investment, they want and expect a return on that investment. And they are going to stop at nothing to ensure that takes place. So we have to stay engaged and stay informed as to what's happening and what we're really allowing that artificial intelligence to do. So.
Yeah. That's a great point. I'm going to kind of change our last question. So curveball. Sorry. Okay. I'll stop. I won't. That was a lie. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So we talked about education, and my last question was just kind of like, what education and what kind of collaboration. We've just already touched on that. So I'm going to kind of go a little bit a step further. What are maybe some best practices? What are some things you'd want a room full of title insurers, abstract companies to know? Or what are some things that you think we could work together collaboratively, thank you, on as far as education goes? I mean, is there something that, you see a common problem in a closing or with your licensees or members and something from the title side?
Our licensees don't read.
I'm finding not many people read, so it's okay.
Yeah. So you put, there's like a 6x6 rule. So if you're having slides, for example, don't have any more than 6 points that you're making on the slide, right? If you're sending them a document that you want them to read, and if they have to scroll even a half an inch, they're not going to read it. So in using AI, when you are when you're emailing them information and it is something, more than a paragraph, put that into AI and say, give me the bullet point version of this and explain it like you were talking to a 5th grader or 6th grader. Because most of the public reads at a 6th grade level and comprehends at a 6th grade level. That's true. Sad, but true. And so I would say that anything that you can do to simplify the content that you're delivering to the consumer through the real estate agent or directly to the consumer, and then especially to the real estate agent, making it bullet point, the most important points of that information and utilizing AI in that aspect, I think that's really good. I use that same prompt all the time.
Yeah, that's a really, really great tip, I think. And just be sure you're not putting anything, private information or anything like that. It's all going to be public information. Something I've done is if I've needed to do public or private information, I will, type my email. But then anytime there's something private, I put it in brackets and I'll just say like name here or whatever. And I kind of, make a take it all out, and then we'll put it into AI, and that's great point.
This is more, I think, association to association, but I think the dialogue that we've had with y'all over the last year or two has been helpful for us to understand that, y'all's position, and hopefully it's been helpful for you to understand ours on different things. And so, I mean, my advice or my hope in the future with y'all is to just continue to be in those rooms because that does help us to hear perspective. And I also think, particularly with what I do, there's a adversarial nature to it at times, and you can really kind of almost otherize the people that are there and say this is us and this is them. And it's really more of like a we, right? Because we're all kind of part of this transaction. So. I would just hope for in the future there being just constant flow of dialogue between our two groups because I think that's the best way for us to move forward. Certainly, like I said, in my area legislatively, but just generally, I think in the profession, I think it's good to just have that dialogue between our two groups and know what each other are thinking. So that's what my hope would be.
Yeah, I totally agree to that, and to speak to that too. I mean, early on when we were engaging about that covenants and restriction, the HOA bill, we kind of had different ideas about things, but we were able to talk it out and worked it out pretty quickly. I mean, it was just a matter of, hey, we've got some language. Ooh, here's what we find problematic. We like your idea. How do we get there in a better way for us? And we were able to come to a really good, just talk through it. And so that was really handy to have friends, as the Taylors like to say, friends to work with. And it's been really great to work with each of these groups. I know I was on a call with Grant Cody, the executive director of OREC, last week about something too. I mean, it's just so nice to have, again, a friend, family, all that stuff, just to kind of work through these things. So, yeah. All right.
Ditto.
Yeah.
You guys covered it all, yeah.
I like it. Yeah, working together. We're all in the same sandbox here. So, are there any questions from the audience? Anyone have anything? We have a few extra minutes here. I mean, we're pretty good on time, actually. So, any questions you have of these folks? Anything you're seeing? Common issues with maybe agents or lenders or anything like that you might want to know more about? Things you wish they knew. Put them on the hot seat. No?
Not everyone at once.
Yeah, hello. Don't rush the.
Surely somebody has a problem with a realtor.
Yeah.
Somebody out there
Or a
does.
lender.
Yeah, or a lender. Well, great.
Free shot and
Yeah. No one's taking it. Yeah.
I feel like I'm sitting in those tanks that they're throwing balls at. I'm just waiting for somebody to throw that. I'm going to fall off the stage.
You can walk the bases? Is that too much of a stretch? No? Okay, I'm done with my baseball stuff. I should have put that into AI and worked even more into the discussion. Next time. So, okay, well, Wade, are we okay to kind of wrap things up? Yep, okay, all right. Well, thanks again, guys, gentlemen. Really, thank you so much. We're so grateful for their partnership. And, yeah, thanks.